Good evening, and welcome to tonight's discussion. We are delving into a question that is increasingly pertinent in our hyper-connected world. Should people have the right to record others anytime, anywhere? This is a complex issue, touching upon fundamental rights and societal norms, and one that elicits passionate responses from all sides. Tonight, we have a distinguished panel to help us navigate these multifaceted considerations. We have Sarah Chen, a staunch civil liberties advocate, Mark Olson, a dedicated privacy rights activist, and Dr. Evelyn Hayes, a renowned legal scholar specializing in technology and ethics. Each will present their opening statements, followed by 2 rounds of discussion, and finally their closing remarks. We aim for a comprehensive exploration of this critical topic.
Thank you, Alex. I firmly believe that the ability to record is an indispensable instrument for modern transparency, accountability, and indeed, personal safety in the 21st century. Consider the profound impact of citizen journalism. Ordinary individuals armed with nothing more than a smartphone camera have been instrumental in exposing misconduct by those in power, from law enforcement overreach to corporate malfeasance. These recordings are not mere novelties. They are vital evidence that can trigger investigations, enact reforms, and ensure that institutions remain answerable to the public they serve. Furthermore, on a personal level, the capacity to document events, be it a traffic accident, an instance of public harassment, or a volatile altercation, provides individuals with a crucial means of self-protection and a reliable method for gathering evidence. While the sanctity of private domains is indisputable, the expectation of privacy is inherently diminished in genuinely public spaces. In such environments, recording can act as a powerful deterrent against wrongdoing, fostering a culture where individuals are more mindful of their actions, knowing that they might be observed and held accountable. This isn't about surveillance. It's about empowerment and justice.
Thank you, Alex. While I acknowledge Sarah's points regarding accountability, I contend that an unfettered, ubiquitous right to record others poses a grave threat to individual privacy and risks fostering a deeply unsettling culture of pervasive suspicion. Imagine a society where every word, every gesture, every interaction in public could be captured, stored, and potentially disseminated without your consent. This creates a significant chilling effect on spontaneous human interaction and free expression, as people may self-censor, fearing that an out-of-context clip or a misconstrued moment could be used against them. This could lead to online shaming, professional repercussions, or targeted harassment. The risks of misuse are manifold and severe. Recordings can be selectively edited to distort reality, decontextualized to create false narratives, or even digitally manipulated with alarming sophistication, such as in the case of deepfakes. There is an intrinsic value to private moments and unobserved conversations, even those that occur in public settings. Not everyone wishes to be a public figure, and vulnerable individuals, in particular, deserve protection from constant scrutiny. Granting an unrestricted right to record is a slippery slope towards a pervasive surveillance environment, where the default assumption is that we are always being watched, which fundamentally alters the nature of our social fabric for the worse.
Good evening. The question of whether people should have the right to record others anytime is, from a legal and ethical standpoint, exceptionally complex and fraught with tension. The existing legal landscape is a patchwork, varying significantly across jurisdictions. For instance, regarding audio recording, some regions operate under one-party consent, where only one person involved in the conversation needs to consent to the recording. Others require two-party or all-party consent, meaning everyone in the conversation must agree. Furthermore, legal distinctions are consistently made between recording on public property, where rights are generally broader, and private property, where privacy expectations are heightened. At its core, this debate highlights an inherent conflict: the clash between freedom of expression, which often encompasses the right to gather and disseminate information, and the fundamental right to privacy. There are no simplistic answers here. It requires a meticulous balancing act, a careful consideration of competing, legitimate rights, and deeply held societal values, especially as technology continues to evolve at a breathtaking pace.
Thank you all for those insightful opening statements. Let's delve deeper. Sarah, you advocate for recording in public spaces. How do you address concerns about recording in, say, private residences or sensitive locations like hospitals or schools without explicit consent? And Mark, conversely, are there contexts, perhaps involving public officials performing their duties or situations of imminent harm, where you would concede that recording is not only permissible but indeed necessary for the greater good?
That's a crucial distinction, Alex. My advocacy primarily focuses on public spaces where the expectation of privacy is legitimately lower and where matters of public interest are often at play. In private residences or genuinely private settings, the right to privacy should be paramount, and recording without explicit, informed consent is generally unacceptable, barring extreme circumstances like immediate threats to life. The definition of public interest must be robust and clearly delineated to prevent abuse, focusing on accountability for those in positions of power or actions that have broad societal impact. Intent also matters. Is the recording for safety, evidence, or malicious voyeurism?
The issue, Alex, is that these lines between public and private, or quote, public interest, are far too easily blurred and manipulated. What one person considers a public space, another might perceive as having a reasonable expectation of privacy, like an outdoor cafe table during a personal conversation. Even if technically legal in some public contexts, the psychological impact of ubiquitous recording cannot be understated. It creates an environment of unease and self-consciousness that stifles authentic interaction. Furthermore, the public interest argument can be a dangerously elastic concept, easily invoked to justify intrusions that serve more to titillate or shame than to genuinely inform or protect. Who decides what qualifies, and what are the safeguards against its misuse for personal vendettas?
Indeed, the courts have grappled extensively with the concept of a quote, reasonable expectation of privacy, a standard that is constantly being reevaluated in light of new technologies. Applying traditional legal frameworks developed long before the advent of smartphones and social media to the complexities of the digital realm presents ongoing and significant challenges for judiciaries worldwide. The pace of technological evolution consistently outstrips our legislative and ethical frameworks. Technologies like ubiquitous facial recognition, when coupled with widespread recording, raise profound concerns about mass surveillance and the potential for a permanent record of our public lives. Furthermore, the aggregation of recorded data, analyzed by sophisticated AI algorithms, can lead to algorithmic bias, misidentification, and discriminatory outcomes. The permanence and global reach of digital information mean that a single recording, taken out of context or maliciously altered, can have devastating and lasting consequences.
The solution, in my view, lies not in broadly prohibiting recording technologies, which are often dual use and have legitimate applications, but in establishing robust legal frameworks specifically targeting their misuse. This includes strengthening anti-defamation laws, enacting clear legislation against the non-consensual sharing of intimate or manipulated images, so-called revenge porn or deepfakes, and holding online platforms more accountable for the swift removal of harmful, illegally obtained content. Crucially, we also need to invest heavily in digital literacy and critical media consumption skills from an early age. This empowers citizens to discern manipulated content and understand the ethical implications of both creating and sharing recordings.
While I appreciate the call for better laws and digital literacy, Sarah, I fear that such reactive measures are often too little, too late. The potential for immediate and irreparable harm from a misused recording, to reputation, to mental well-being, to safety, is immense. Therefore, I argue for more proactive restrictions on certain recording capabilities or their application, particularly when combined with powerful analytical tools like AI-driven facial recognition in public spaces without clear, democratically agreed-upon oversight and limitations. In many scenarios, the potential for creating a pervasive, chilling surveillance infrastructure where every citizen becomes a potential data point for state or corporate interests far outweighs the purported benefits of unrestricted recording by individuals. In closing, I urge us to consider the profound and potentially irreversible negative impacts of unchecked recording on our personal autonomy, our fundamental freedom from constant scrutiny, and the very fabric of social trust. When we live under the perpetual gaze of a potential lens, our interactions become performative, our spontaneity diminishes, and our willingness to engage in candid, vulnerable, or even dissenting conversations in public spaces is eroded. I advocate for a, quote, privacy by default approach. The onus should be squarely on the recorder to justify the act of capturing someone's image or voice, especially in ambiguous situations or where there's no clear, overriding public interest. We must strive for clear legal and societal boundaries that unequivocally prioritize human dignity, the sanctity of private life, and the right to simply be, over an indiscriminate impulse to record every facet of human experience for potential dissemination.
I wish to reaffirm the uniquely empowering role that the ability to record plays in promoting justice, ensuring accountability from powerful entities, and safeguarding individuals in an increasingly complex world. Recordings have undeniably served as a bulwark against oppression, a tool for whistleblowers, and a means for ordinary citizens to document truth and seek redress when other avenues have failed them. Therefore, any limitations imposed on this right must be exceptionally narrow, precisely targeted to prevent specific, demonstrable harms like harassment or defamation, rather than broad prohibitions that would stifle its many legitimate and beneficial uses. Let us embrace the potential of recording as a tool for fostering a more informed, transparent, and equitable society, while simultaneously remaining ever vigilant and proactive in legislating against its abuse and educating citizens on its responsible use.
In summary, this debate vividly illustrates the central dichotomy we face: the societal pursuit of transparency and accountability, often facilitated by recording, versus the fundamental individual right to privacy and freedom from pervasive surveillance. It is crucial to recognize that this is not a static issue but an evolving dialogue, inextricably intertwined with relentless technological progress and shifting societal norms regarding information and personal space. Therefore, the path forward necessitates ongoing, nuanced public discourse, coupled with adaptive legal and ethical frameworks that are robust enough to address these burgeoning complexities thoughtfully and effectively, ensuring a balance that serves the common good.
Thank you, Sarah Chen, Mark Olson, and Dr. Evelyn Hayes for your exceptionally insightful and thought-provoking contributions to this critical discussion tonight. You've clearly illuminated the multifaceted nature of this debate, highlighting the delicate balance between essential freedoms and protections in our technologically advanced world. We encourage our audience to reflect deeply on the arguments presented and to consider where this balance lies, both for themselves and for society as a whole.